All right, we are so happy to be here from Bird. My name is Matt Kopko. I'm Bird's Director of Public Policy, and what you just saw there was a little bit of Bird's vision for the future. Bird's vision is a cleaner, more efficient, more enjoyable urban and semi-urban environment for cities across the globe. In late 2017, when electric scooter sharing wasn't even a thing that people even knew existed, there were a couple folks at Bird headquarters in Santa Monica who decided to hook up a GPS connection and an internet connection to a few scooters, and we dropped them off in the middle of downtown Santa Monica, and I guess as the saying goes, the rest is history. In our first year, Bird traveled to over 100 cities. We had millions of riders, take over 10 million rides, and that's in our first year alone. Those rides went almost 15 million miles, 10 million rides. If those trips instead were taken by car, we're talking about 12.7 million pounds of CO2 emitted into the atmosphere. 12.7 million pounds of CO2 is enough energy to power over 1,000 cars for an entire year. It's enough energy to plant 150,000 trees and let them grow for 10 years, or to power over 600 homes for an entire year. Bird is so proud of our environmental impact, and again, I would just note that this is just one company in our first year of operations. So for most of that year, frankly, we were actually ramping still. So the growth is still continuing, and we expect phenomenally more in terms of impact for 2019. I'd also like to talk a little bit about Bird's economic impact. We are so proud to be here in Florida and not be operating in Florida. Bird operates in Fort Lauderdale, Coral Gables. We have a permit ready to go live in Miami, and we look forward to shortly, hopefully, coming to Tampa as well. We think Tampa is going to be moving in the next couple months on all this, and we applaud Tampa's leadership and want to talk a bit more about that as well. In terms of economic impact, for every 1,000 birds in market, we are talking about millions of dollars of earnings for local community and hundreds of income opportunities. If you make that 10,000 birds, we're talking about tens of millions of local earnings for the community and thousands of income opportunities. So part of what I'm here to say is when we think about a market like Tampa, the question we're not asking ourselves is how many hundreds of scooters should be in Tampa, but how many thousands of scooters. And before you think that's crazy, I'd just like to point out that there's a city in Canada that's similar size to Clearwater. They've issued their transportation footprint, and their transportation goal is to have one micromobility device per 10 people. So Tampa is a city of about 385,000 people. Divided by 10, that is 38,000 scooters. So when I say thousands, not hundreds, who knows, maybe I'm still being conservative. That's Bird's vision in action. Bird's vision in action is to replace as many short car trips as possible, particularly car trips under 3 miles. Car trips under 3 miles make up 40% of all car trips, and those are predominantly in short congested urban environments. Everyone knows that story of you gotta go up the road, it's 0.7 miles, it's really hot out, it's too long to walk, I might as well take a shared ride or drive my car 0.7 miles. We think there are a phenomenal number of those types of rides that should instead be taken on a micromobility device. Traveling by micromobility is 100 times more efficient than traveling by car. The amount of energy it takes to move someone 1 mile on one of our scooters is on average 100 times less than the amount of energy it takes to move a person 1 mile in a car. So the fact that we are still moving people, as Carol said, in these 3,000-pound devices that emit burnt fuel into the sky is just an amazing thing to reflect on if you think about what the opportunity ahead of us is. That vision includes a lot of shared infrastructure. We applaud the city of Tampa for moving forward on protected bike lanes in downtown. Small vehicle lanes, I think, is going to be the long-term vision for those types of lanes, and we wish more cities followed Tampa's lead. We expect them to in the coming years. This is a Model T production facility. The reason why I bring this up is because this facility is of a similar vintage to most of our vehicle laws in our country. Or put another way, our vehicle laws were written for a world like this. To get a vehicle law changed, you have to get it first through the state legislature. In Florida, and actually like many other states across the country, the legislature only meets every 2 years. So if you have a really good idea in an even-numbered year, tough luck. You have to get it introduced, negotiated through subcommittee, all the way through the legislature, signed by the governor. Sometimes it goes back to the local regulatory agency, like a state DOT, to issue further rules, and then cities start standing up programs, passing ordinances, issuing RFPs. This is a multi-year process. If you were designing it new from the ground up, you would do something totally different, and we think it's a bit crazy that this is the current status quo. There are a lot of cities that have moved forward notwithstanding that. Just like Tampa, we are so proud that Tampa has moved forward pending state action. We are currently working in Tallahassee as well so that everyone can have access to micromobility. And in the meantime, Tampa is showing amazing leadership moving forward with the deployment of shared scooters in the coming months. And we think Tampa is going to be up with some of these other model cities that we have worked with that started and pushed forward this micromobility revolution. We think cities need to be doing a lot of thoughtful things in terms of optimal scooter policy. That includes minimum ridership ages. That includes encouraging people to ride these types of devices in bike lanes wherever possible. And most importantly, it includes a thoughtful approach to fleet management. So if I told you that they were going to pass a rule in Tampa that said during rush hour, no more than 500 cars are allowed in the city of Tampa, everyone would think that's absolutely insane, but that's how we are currently managing micromobility in a lot of markets. We need to make sure that we have flexible regulatory structures so that fleets are allowed to expand to match demand, so that supply can match demand. Again, we're talking about if we can embrace this vision of a shared future and electric micromobility vehicles, we can radically alter the pollution profile in our cities, and that requires leadership like Tampa is currently undertaking. Dallas is a great example. We were able to, in a matter of weeks, deploy thousands of scooters in Dallas. It's worked out fantastic, we think, not just for us, but for the city of Dallas as well. And data is now coming out of all these cities, including Dallas, that's showing not only are devices like electric scooters, like the Bird over here, hands down safer than cars, they're probably safer than bicycles as well. Memphis was the first city to come to us and say, hey, would you guys spray paint Bird parking areas on our sidewalks? We said, sure, that sounds exciting. And we love these types of creative interactions with cities. We look forward to a similar type of iteration and creativity with Tampa. And we know that the time to move is now. Part of why we believe here at Bird that the time to act is now is because of situations like this. This is downtown Miami on a normal day. This is not after a storm or after a rain event. Miami now regularly floods. I am no hippie, but seeing this up close and firsthand was really mind-altering for me, and it's part of why I'm here on Bird's mission. Florida law authorizes local governments to enact temporary and experimental regulations in response to special conditions. I don't know what is a more special condition than regular flooding in one of the most important cities in the country. Florida definitely is going to have to contend with this climate change issue. Like I said, I'm not a hippie at heart, and there are ways in which we have things like Bird, which are safe, affordable, zero emissions, zero government subsidies, pollution and transportation solution. One of the largest sources of pollution in urban environments is actually transportation, about 1/3 to 40%, depending on what statistic you look at. This is Tampa's traffic problem. We think that there is a brighter way and a brighter future. That means embracing micromobility. That means embracing electric transportation. And that means moving forward with an urgency, because the time is now to make sure that people can move forward. There's going to be definitely a bright future indeed. And we think it's going to look cleaner, more fun, and more enjoyable for everyone. Thank you very much, Tampa. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference.